Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Well guys, I'm still working on the Monarch Lathe and we are getting closer and closer to getting this thing finished. We got the saddle now all finished. We have the cross slide all finished as far as the scraping and milling and all that stuff goes. Really the only thing left as far as scraping is concerned is the compound. And this is the part that fits up on the top that you can of course rotate to whatever angle. And I've got this one off and apart and we need to start working on getting this thing trued back up and back into as new specifications. So let me zoom you in here and kind of show you what we're dealing with, come up with a game plan, and we'll get here in the shop and get it done. I'm over here at the surface plate and we're going to first off do some inspecting on this. So this is the compound. Again, it sits down on the top of the cross slide. There's a pin and this pin will press out, but the pin goes in here and that's what it rotates on. And then this part down here on the bottom just spins on top of the cross slide piece there. And of course there's two bolts here. You can tighten it down to fit in whatever angle you want to adjust this to. And of course there's a scale that kind of goes along the outside here to help you at least get close on that angle. So the first thing I wanted to do was to see how parallel these two cross slides are. Again, it's going to wear over time. And to do that, I took two gauge pins here and we want it to kind of hit about in the middle of the dovetail. And I took a micrometer and we measured across this. So we started up here at the top, we measured, we started over, just moved down through here. Now doing this, we're kind of averaging of the high points over the length of this pin, and then we're just kind of moving it down as we go. And on this side, you kind of see what those measurements were. This is basically the deviation. So this was the narrowest part. I called that 0. And as you go to the back, this is in thousandths of an inch. So this is 3/10,000ths, 3/10,000ths, 1,000, 1,000, 1.5 thousandths. So you can see there's more wear back here on this back side. As you get toward the top side, there's less wear. And thousandths and a half, you know, that's not too terribly bad, but it's not perfect. So I think once we get the bottom ground, we'll take this over to the milling machine and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to re-mill this using our dovetail cutter. So we'll come in here, we'll get this set up on the milling machine and we'll just come down through here. We'll re-establish a good dovetail in here, and at the same time we're going to face the bottom of this, and these measurements here are kind of showing pluses and minuses. And when I had it set up before, there was a couple, about 3/1000ths that looks like I'm reading in here as far as variations go. So while I got it here though, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and just kind of get an idea of how flat this is. Now, you know, anytime you're working on an old piece like this, you need to try to find something to work off of this original to it, something that does not have wear surface. Obviously this is a wear surface, this is a wear surface, and the bottom is a wear surface. But when I got in here and looking, this top right here, this is not a wear surface. This is not an area that anything is actually wearing on. In fact, I can look in here, you probably can't see it on screen, but I can actually see some of the original milling machine marks in there. So this is going to become my reference surface. Is it perfect? No, but it's as close as I've got to perfect. So that's going to become the new reference. And actually, it's not too bad. I came in here earlier. I've got a test indicator here. This is a 10,000ths reading test indicator, and we're just going to go along here and kind of see where it's at. So I got it set on 0 right there. I come down through here, it's dropping off for about 6 or 7 tenths, half a thou, and almost back to 0. So there's about I don't know, I'm going to call that 7/10,000ths in there from the highest to the lowest. I'm going to come around to the other side. We'll do the same thing. I'm going to come in here and touch off, and we're close to 0. And we go to about 1 point, whoops, I come off the edge there. Yeah, so about 1.3 or 4, and then it comes back up to 0. So this isn't too bad. And anyway, that's going to be my surface. It's dropping. I can't remember if that was high or low, but anyway, we're going to use this as a surface. What I'm going to do is we'll go to the surface grinder. I'm going to flip it over on that surface there. I'm going to knock this pin out. We're going to grind the bottom. That's going to be step 1, and then we'll go from there. So let's get over to the surface grinder, and we'll get this set up to grind. Over at the surface grinder, we're going to go ahead and just kind of make sure we got a nice clean mag here. And to put this down, to mag this down, what I'm going to use are some transfer blocks. These are magnetic transfer blocks. These are basically where the magnetic flux will come through this block, and basically anything on top of it will continue to be magnetic. And because of we're going to want to set this thing down right here. We got this little piece here. One block is not going to be enough. I've already checked it. I'm going to have 2 blocks. It's just barely not enough height on there. So I'm going to put 2 blocks on top of one another. Whoops. Get that out from in between there. I'm going to come back this way just a little bit. All right, so if you look, we got this little piece here. This is where we have the thread for the screw that moves everything in and out. That's going to be sticking down, so that should clear here. I'm going to set her down flat, kind of centered up on the mag above. All right, I'm going to turn my magnet on now, and yeah, that's nice. It's nice and tight. So we should be able to now come in here and surface grind this face, and it should be parallel to the original mill marks that were in the part. So this basically, we're using that bottom again as or the top in this case, we got flipped over as my reference surface, and we'll grind that in. I'm going to start by addressing my wheel. I've already got it set up here. And that looks good. I'm just going to leave that down there. It's out of the way. That way if I need to redress, I'll have it down. We'll go ahead and raise this back up. Come over, touch off on our part, and start grinding. Just going to put a little piece of paper in here. We'll lower this down until it just basically grabs and pulls that paper out of my hand, and that should get me down within a couple of thou of being right on target. It's starting to grab. There it goes. So that tells me now I'm within the thickness of a piece of paper of touching the part, and I'm going to just kind of feel around here, make sure we're not going to be hitting anywhere. Make sure I don't have any surprise high spots in here. I'm just barely touching right there. Catch a little bit in there, but not much. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let it take whatever this is. Turn some coolant on. It's barely taking anything off on this side. I mean, just looking at the sparks, I'm guessing that's not even half a thou that it's grinding off right now, which is good, which means it's fairly flat. At least it's looking that way. Let's see how much more we have to take off to get it to clean up. I think this next pass, I'll probably just take a clean 1,000, and we'll see how close we are. Let's take a look at what we got here. We got a little bit of a void up here. Cleaned up pretty good except right here in a couple of places. I will note though that it's only touching on the outside. Basically where this bolt hole is, there's a slot all the way around. So it's not even touching in a lot of these areas where we don't have contact. But I'm not quite hitting it back here in the back. I am pretty much making contact everywhere, but just a very small area back there. I think I'm going to down feed one more thou, let it cut across, and even if I don't have some of these inside areas cleaned up, I'm not worried about that because we're not touching there anyway. So come down one more 1,000, and back across we go. we're getting real close, guys. The areas, we still got a few little low areas, and they're really, for the most part, in that middle zone where we're not making contact anyway, but you know, there's just a couple of little small areas that I just want to get a little bit more out of it. So I'm going to take one more pass. Tell you what, we're just going to go another full thou, and we'll probably just live with whatever we got on this one. So let's get her going again. All right, we'll let it come back across, and we'll probably take a couple of spark passes just to make sure everything's good and flat, and I think we'll have this bottom done. All right, guys, I think we got it. I'm just going to kind of go back across this thing a few more times, make sure it's sparked out completely. Seeing a few little sparks here and there. All right, I think I can live with that. Like I said, the only places I'm not touching are some areas in that middle area that doesn't matter anyway. So let's take that off. Next thing we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to actually grind the tops here. Since this was my reference surface and now I got a ground surface on the bottom, I want to clean this top reference surface up so that we have a good indication of where we were. So we're close there. The sun's coming in the window up there, leaving some shadows on here, but hopefully y'all can see what's going on. I'm going to come in here. I'm just going to do this by hand since we're coming right up against that area there. It shouldn't take much at all to do this. I'm not even taking a full thousandths off there. It's just where I touched off at. Over to the other side now. Come toward that post where I can get right up close to it. Trying to make sure I'm not going to crash into that post back there in the back. I got my test indicator. Just want to see how good we are here. So we're coming in, and I'm reading right around a 0 there. We'll come across here. And I mean, it's within a tenth. It moved up a little bit when I changed directions, but that's just from the yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks, when I come back, it's dragging about a tenth down, but that's still a 0, and it's not moving off of that. All right, and on the other side, come in here. So it looks like we're about a tenth different, but going down long ways, again, it's within a tenth. So there's no more than 2 10,000ths of an inch of variation anywhere on that surface. That's good. I'm very happy with that. All right, next thing is I want to get these dovetails cleaned up, and we're going to do that over on the milling machine. And you may ask, why am I not doing it on the grinder? It's my grinder, to do this dovetail, you'd really have to have a head that tilts to get that angle right. I mean, I guess I could go in there and grind my wheel to the angle and do it that way. It's just a clunky setup. You'd have to really kind of set it up on end like this right here, because the wheel, and you'd have to come in here and be dragging across the back over a large face and then cutting the bottom with that profile. And then to do the other side, you'd have to turn the part over, which would really kind of negate the whole reason of doing it, because you'd want to do it in the same setup where everything would be parallel. So the grinder I have is just not set up to do that kind of work. Most surface grinders aren't. But we'll come in here, we'll mill this out. This will all get scraped in. I got this set up over on the milling machine now. Basically, I just got this clamp down to the table. It is kind of on the back side, but it has to do with my cutting tool and being able to sweep it. I'm going to have to mill in this direction, which is a little bit opposite, I guess, from what I normally do, where I'm feeding in this direction. But it has to do with work holding here. The only place I can really clamp this is down this lower part, because I'm going to be milling everything up higher. And anyway, it's just going to be difficult to clamp it down in the other direction. This way here worked out really well, and we got room to do it, so it's going to be fine. Got an indicator set up on here, and I'm sweeping this underside of that dovetail all the way down, and I've got it. I mean, remember, we measured it was out by 1.5 thou, and I've got it within 1.5 thou from end to end on the indicator. Whoops, it jumped when I hit the end of my travel here, but anyway, I'm happy there. We're going to go ahead and get our cutter in here, and we're going to basically get everything trued up on either side. I think we're set up over here on the milling machine now, and what I've done is I've kind of figured out where my high spot is. I think my high end's going to be on this end, at least on the bottom side of this. So I'm going to kind of touch off over here. I think what I'm going to do is kind of make sure we're getting a good cut across the bottom on both sides, so I get my height set right. Then we'll come in and start working on the dovetails, and I'm just going to basically clean them up on each side and make them parallel to one another. So get some power going here. I don't want to get on my face yet in there. I'm just trying to get the bottom. This pass may clean up all the way, or pretty close to it. Wow. So it's just shy of cleaning all the way up. It might only need another thou or two on that one corner back there. Let's come on out this way. Go to the other side. We may need a little bit more depth on that side to finish cleaning it up. And looks like we're going to fade out right before we get to the end. All right, so not going to need much. Might do it. Come out to the very end here. Make sure we're cleaned out all the way to that edge. Come back over to the other side. And this should definitely clean up on this side too, I'm pretty sure. Come out to the end. All right, so now I should be ready to come in there and touch off on the dovetail and true up one side. Let me reset this camera. I'm just going to bring it in just till it barely touches that wall. All right, let's feed down through here now. I mean, it is barely touching it. I may have to make another pass to get a good cut on it. We're ready to take another pass through here. I'm going to take about another 2 thou off, which that's the plan. So we're going to be cutting. There we go. Let's see what we got. All right, guys, I'm going to take one more pass. It looks like when we get out here toward the end, it's cutting at the top of the dovetail, but not going all the way down to the bottom. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do this time. I'm going to take a marker. I'm just going to blacken that face in there. That way I can tell what I'm cutting a little bit better. So we're ready to feed on through. I'm looking down in there, we took all that black out, so that tells me I gotta cut all the way to the end. So we'll go to the other side now. And bring in till I just barely touch. This is the side we trimmed. So it should not have to take as much out of it. This might clean up all in the first pass. It did. Awesome. I actually put a marker mark in there where I could see. So I think we're through. I think we got this milled out. New dovetails cut, new flats cut on the bottom, so I think this is ready to go to scraping. All right, so now for some inspection, we're going to come over here and let me re-zero this. This is, again, a 10 thousandths indicator. It's very touchy. That's about a 0 right there. And we're going to go down, and so, I mean, we're running within a thousandths of being flat from one side to the other. Let's check the other side. All right, so on this side, make sure you can see that. Yeah, on this side, so we're a couple of tenths higher on this side than the other side, and we come down, and again, we're within about a thou being flat, so I'm pretty happy with that. You know, these will be scraped in on the bottom, so we got an opportunity to straighten that out. And coming off a mill machine, that's not a bad surface at all. Next thing I want to do is check to see how parallel these are. That right there is going to be more important to me because that's going to be a lot of scraping to get all that cleaned out. So let me, where's my other pin here? All right, so I got 2 gauge pins. Hits about halfway up the dovetail, and I'm going to come in here with a micrometer, and we're going to check it in multiple places coming down through here. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to read it over here in 10 thousandths. So we're at 6, and I'm going to read my scale here. I'm going to call that 6.3 or 6. I'm going to put 63. So that's 63 10 thousandths. I'm going to come up a little bit. We'll map this out. That feels good right there. So that's, I think it moved. Hang on a second. All right, feels good right there. And we're at 67. Okay, let's see what that looks like right there. Looks like just a little under 6 or maybe right on 7. We'll call it 7.0. All right, so this is my smallest measurement, so I'm going to call that 0. This right here is a 3. Or this was 67. So that's 4 10,000ths. Okay, 63 to 73 is going to be 10 10,000ths or 1,000th. This is going to be 6 10,000ths. And this is going to be 7 10,000ths. So that kind of tells me what we got. And again, those are in 10,000ths, so really 1,000th of an inch wider here than here, and then it comes back down a few tenths up here. So that's going to help me when I start scraping this. I know I got a little bit more in the middle than I do on the ends. But looks like we're in good shape. I'm pretty happy with what we got. And this is ready to go to scraping, I believe. Well, there we go, guys. One more project well underway here. We got our compound, the base of our compound all machined, ground on the bottom, milled on the top, and it is now ready for scraping to get it in. And I'm going to do the scraping in a separate video. We will start by scraping the bottom of this to make it perfectly flat. Probably just do it over here using the surface plate as our reference. Once that is done, we will come in and machine the flats on either side here. Again, we'll be using a straight edge in that case as our reference surface, but then coming over here and making sure they're parallel and in the same plane, not one's higher than the other. We'll do that on the surface plate as well. And then come in and start doing the dovetails. We'll do one side, make sure that it's straight, and then we'll come into the other side and we'll start checking for parallelism and getting that worked out so that we don't have any one side wider than the other. So good bit of work to do there, and again, that's probably going to be in a couple more videos coming down the road. But with that, that's going to be a wrap on this one, and one step closer to having the Monarch finished up. So that'll be a wrap, guys. As always, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and with that, we'll catch you on the next time around. Thanks for watching.